Well, after last week's joke, the last week's blonde joke, I think I have to redeem myself. So I'm going to give the women equal time. So here goes. What's that? You didn't hear that? 3 men wanted to cross a river. They had no idea how to get across it. So the first man knelt down on his knees and prayed, Lord, give me the power and the strength to cross the river. And suddenly, he became very strong and he swam across the river. Next man thought, well, if that works for him, let me give it a try. So he knelt down and prayed, Lord, give me the skills and the strength to get across the river. So the man built a canoe and he rowed himself across the river. Now the third man thought, well, if this worked for them, I'm going to do the same. So he got on his knees and prayed. And he prayed, Lord, give me the wisdom and the knowledge to cross the river. He instantly turned into a woman and walked across the bridge. Did I redeem myself? Equal time. This is an equal opportunity Bible study class. Oh, gosh. As usual, we always ask for people that have done a homework assignment during the week. We always like to acknowledge people that did something in addition to going to Mass so that we can see what else we can be doing with our spiritual lives. Anyone do anything for a homework assignment last week like to share? Richard, hand goes up.
I have to tell you, sometimes God really blesses you and leads the blind, but we almost were late tonight because about 2 hours ago, Linda said there are 2 young gentlemen dressed in suits outside the door. Do you want to talk to them? Oh, yeah, And so anyway, we invited them in. So in the discussion, the kind of stuff that was this thing about we apostatize, And of course, I used Vic's comments, where. And I said, let me tell you something. There's a man named Tertullian who was a pagan attorney. And he was proving Catholicism, and he was showing that the Catholic Church has lists of popes all the way back to Peter, So we can stand in a court of law and say that here's the list, Now in a court of law, before God, can you stand there and say exactly where the Catholic Church apostatized? Which they cannot do. Well, we just, no. You have to say yes or no. It's a yes or no answer. And they just were befuddled, they just really did, and that was part of the argument. But even, and so we would argue, and they were really neat kids, and finally the reason we were almost late, it started raining, So little mother here said, well, you can't leave those 2 young kids out riding in the rain. They had to go from our house to Arthur Street, which is about 2 to 3 miles, really pouring. So we put the bicycles in my pickup, and we took them to the house.
And we found them.
Yeah,
and we had good discussion. One of the things that we found is by just opening up and say, well, this is how we feel. How do you feel about this? This is how we feel. This is, and then we went to authority,
Well, I asked them about their misconceptions. Go ahead.
Well, that's right.
I asked them about, what do you think about the Catholic Church? What bothers you? I let them ask me the question, and then I start just back, well, what about this? What about that? Again, you don't have to argue, and they didn't know about those things, They absolutely had not heard of the early fathers, and they didn't know about these things, and so it was just a piece of cake.
And one of them said, as they got ready to leave, he says, well, because we did the class on Israel today at Faith Studies at Sacred Heart, and so we've been evangelizing all day long. So it was interesting. He says to me, he says, well, I really want to go to Israel. He says, I want to walk the footsteps of Christ. And I said, you've got to come back and see our videos that we've got and our pictures. I've got to share them with you. And he says, oh, I would love to. Can we come back? And I said, well, yes, we'll have a good time. And he says, can I bring some of my videos? And I said, sure. I says, we'll continue our discussion onward. Now, God bless you, boys.
All right. But almost better than that, I have to tell you, an opening came for really amazing, and this comes back one day I was in the restaurant and a lady said, that's a very interesting cross, as I've told you, we're supposed to be the light of the world and you show that you're a Christian or a Catholic, however you want to call it, And the lady said, that's a very interesting cross, and this has opened up all kinds of conversations, And so she said, well, I got a friend who doesn't believe in God, and I said, I have just a thing for you, it's called Pascal's wager. So she'd bring it, So, and I've been working on it, Vic's been kind of helping me with it to set the thing up. And so today we happened to be there, and I said, I'm still working. What was that? And I said, oh yeah. And I didn't know she is a counselor for AAA, for Alcoholics Anonymous. And so she wants this thing because she said, our hardest thing to do is to get those who don't believe in God to give up alcohol. So we have a new project we have to work on in this wager and trying to get these people to,
Okay.
So,
there's people put their learning. What Rich is talking about, Pascal's wager. This is an incredible tool that you can use to talk with people, especially if they're not a Christian, to get them to think. And let me just give it to you quickly so you know what it is. It's a very powerful tool. And basically, it's appealing to a person's reason. And the thing is, especially if the person's not a Christian. And the question is there a God? Yes or no? This is very simple. Now the question is, do you believe there is a God? Yes or no? That's all there is to it. Now look at and if you just think of it in the terms of being a betting person. If you were to bet your eternal life on something, how would you bet in this situation? Let's take this situation. Is there a God? Yes. If there really was a God, right? That's our premise. If there really was a God, and you believed in God, what is the benefit of that eternally?
Eternal life.
Eternal life. If there is a God, and you believe in God and follow that God, you have everything to gain, right? You have heaven. Now, if there was not a God, but you believed there was a God, what's the benefit? If there really is no God, but you did believe there was a God.
Peace of mind.
Not much. There's not much. If there's no God, but you believe there's a God, there might be a little peace of mind, but eternally, once you die, what is there? Nothing. Now, if there was a God, or there is a God, and you did not believe in God, what is the state of your spiritual life then? Huh? If there really is a God, and you rejected it.
Gain hell.
And if there was no God, and you didn't believe there's a God, what's the ramification? Nothing. If you were a betting person, where would you place your bet?
There is a God.
There is God.
You have everything to gain here, but you've got everything to lose here. If there is a God and you reject Him, you would better be right or you're in mighty big trouble. That's what he's talking about, Pascal's wager. A simple little tool that just gets someone to think about the possibility of God.